anybody's got a point. Okay, so it is recording now. So let's get going, shall we? Chapter 2. Um, so come on up. Here's our objectives for this chapter. We're going to talk about service desks, and we're talking about help desks, and we're going to talk about call centers. And they all might sound like the same thing. I think that you can consider them as being help desks are greater than call centers. Service desks are greater than help desk, and we'll talk about each of them in a little bit. So we'll also. Oh, by the way, this may seem familiar to you. It may seem familiar to you because when I went and looked through these notes that we that are chapter 2 notes been prepared for us, is it's kind of similar to one of the chapters one of the chapters in the CR1260 course. So if you went back and looked over that, a lot of this would seem familiar. There are some things here that are not in that chapter that weren't discussed. But I mean, customer service support organizations, incident ownership, some of these things we discussed, not all of them. We didn't discuss service catalog. We did discuss service level agreement. There's a whole chapter on that in that CR 1260 course that you guys have done. Or outsourcing and insourcing. We kind of touched on that in that. So some of this is going to seem familiar to you, but some of these terms are going to be new to you that I'm just showing you right now. All right. So we've got these terms. I hope they all are sort of self-explanatory. Maybe a couple of them aren't. 24/7 support. I'm sure you got an idea that is. Basically, you always have support. Abandon rate percent. Well, first you have to know what abandon is, and that's given to you in the definition. And the third thing there, if somebody is calling you and then they hang up before you talk to them, that's abandoned. And so the percent of abandon rate is going to be what percentage of the calls were of all the calls coming in, what percentage were abandoned before you answered them. The average accessibility, how hard is it for people to get to you on the service desk? Do you put barriers in their way, or is it very easy for them? I hope that's easy. Now, accessibility, when you're talking about HTML, for example, has a kind of a technical definition. It's about, well, can people with disabilities and stuff like that use this site? So that probably impacts on it as well, right? So do average people, is it okay for them to, what do I mean by average? People without disabilities, how accessible is it for them? But also people with disabilities, how accessible it is for them. So that's something to consider nowadays with accessibility, and there's laws relating to that as well. Average call duration, we want that number to be small. Basically, the average call duration is going to be a way that we measure the service desk personnel, and it's like, how long does it take you to solve something that comes to you as an issue as an incident on the phone? Got a couple of people in the class now. Who's that? Jay. Sorry, I have these earphones on. Sorry, it's who? Daryl. Welcome, Daryl. Okay, so sorry I don't have paper for you, but you can make notes if you want. You can see up here. So we do have Daryl and Jason. Okay, welcome. Average speed of answer. How long does it take to pick up the phone? Is it 3 rings? Oh, actually, this is while it's in the queue. So you would remember from CR 1260, we talked about the automated calling distribution software. And basically what that does is it takes a caller and puts them in a queue and hopefully puts them to the right agent. Well, we could measure how long they're staying in the queue, because obviously that can be a source of, oh, sorry. I'm talking about the average wait time, aren't I? Yeah, no, the average time it takes for the analyst to pick up that call. For the analyst, then for the user, it's how long did they have to wait. All right, so these terms here, benchmarking, baseline, best practice, best in class, these are sort of business terms that if you've done any kind of business studies, you may have come across. I don't know, but basically the idea being that supposing we have some kind of business, they're particularly used in businesses with some engineering sort of impacting on their products and services. So, for example, like a telephone company. So benchmarking and baseline, the idea there is for baseline is we say, here's our starting point where we are. This is how we're doing with our services. Let's just put a line there. Then benchmarking, we're going to have a look around at what everybody else is doing and see how they're doing. And then how do we measure up to them? That's our benchmark. Then best practice is having surveyed other businesses and ourselves in this particular process. What's the best people in the industry doing? What does that look like? And so there's companies that this is how they make their money. You may have heard of companies like McKinsey, these kind of consultant companies. Some of the large accounting companies used to do it too, but they would come into a business at the invitation of, for example, the CEO, and they would look at the processes in the business, and they would have done this with lots of other businesses. Maybe they've looked at all at a bunch of different information technology businesses. They won't give away their secrets, but they'll say these companies are doing this, and here's the metrics on that. This is how this works for them. This is how much time they're spending doing this, and this is the results they're getting. That would be the benchmarking, and this is what you're doing. And so the ones that we notice the best in the industry are doing it like this. Okay, so best in class refers to that. Bring your own device. Students do that here, right? If you got a mobile phone with you, you're doing bring your own device. Because mobile phones are so powerful now. I mean, they have processors in them that are more powerful than the PCs that we used to use not that very long ago. And so they will run PC-like software on them. So that means that you can run your business software on them. So in a service desk context, a help desk, you can have an app that your customers can use the app to contact the service desk, and the service desk personnel could have an app that they were using on a device, so that they could use to communicate and create tickets and close tickets, etc. All that could be done on a phone. There are systems that do that. There's lots and lots of uh, incident management systems, help desk software, if you want to call it that. So these terms here, effectiveness and efficiency, they might also sound familiar to you if you came from a business background. So we talk about that. Effectiveness basically is, do we get what we want to get happen? Does it happen? Or how much do we achieve of what it is that we're trying to do? If we achieve what we're trying to do, we're effective. That's effective. Effective is we did what we wanted. Now, efficiency sounds similar to that, but it's not actually. Efficiency has to do with time and money and resources. Effort put in, result out. That's your efficiency, right? If the effort and the money put in is less than the result coming out, then you're efficient. If you put in too much effort to get a little result, then that's not efficient. And these terms are also used in, as I said, in finance a lot. Escalation means to go from a low level to a high level. Now, in the service desk, the low level and the high level, we have numbers for them. We say level 1, level 2, level 3. You might remember that from CR3160. But the idea being that you try and solve incidents at the telephone, at the level 1, we call it. But if that can't happen within the time that you've set aside as your target time, then you will escalate it to the next level. The next level would be like level 2, but it also might be to a manager. Incident has a special meaning. It's the ITAL definition here. Incident being, as it says there, an unplanned interruption, or it could be a reduction in quality of service. Either of those things we could refer to as an incident. Um, and so we have incident management systems. Typically, an incident management system is going to be software which has ticketing in it. And that ticketing Um, you have a unique identifier, which is the ticket number, which goes with the incident, and that ticket number will never be used again, right? That ticket number is used for that incident, so we can always go and track the incident and make sure that it's closed. Even after it's closed, that number won't be used again. So we, yeah, the idea is so the incident record would be that ticket. And as it says there in the notes, the incident record or the ticket would have many fields in it, which would be filled in by the service desk personnel. The idea of ownership here, you would have come across also in CR1260. A lot of the stuff in today's lesson is just a review of 1260. But the idea of incident ownership is that at all times, somebody has to be responsible for that incident. Now, ideally, the person in level one support, they're taking that incident from the opening to the closing. But it could be that they pass the incident to somebody else and with the clear understanding that you're now the owner of this incident. So the owner of the incident has to close off the ticket, as it were, and say this incident is completed. Um, all right, so now we have another word which is kind of like incident, but it's different. And do we see here? The problem is the cause, the thing that caused the incident to occur. So when we have an incident, we have an incident, but what caused it to occur? Now, when we say problem is the cause, it's a cause of maybe an incident that keeps reoccurring. Then what is it that caused that? That's the problem. And so I hope you can see that when we find out what a problem is, that means that we're probably going to change something in the system because there's something in the system that's wrong that's causing these incidents to occur. And so that's our problem management is finding out what is those causes and then addressing them. And so to help us do that, we have this concept of root cause analysis, which is, and we might have mentioned that I think also in CR1260, I think, but the idea there is that you might see a problem, an incident occur, which is some kind of outage. That's the symptom of the problem. Then then you do a little bit of analysis to find out, well, why did that happen? Why did we have this outage? Why did the computers go off at such and such a time? And when we've discovered that, then we've done our problem analysis, a root cause analysis, and then we know what the problem is, and therefore then we can address some resources to remedying that problem, which is going to be some change in the system. So we have these other term here, which is service. So service is going to be a little bit different than just a incident or a problem. I mean, this could be some kind of new um, uh, well, I don't want to use the word service to describe service because that's just going around in circles, but it's something new that's offered to our customers that they didn't have before. So that could be a service that's being implemented. And so we have this idea of a service catalog as well. Now, the service catalog, you've used the word catalog before, I'm sure. You can pick from a bunch of items and you see this is what you get and this is what you pay. And so I mentioned yesterday in the lesson there that we would be talking about service level agreements, and you'll see in the notes today that we have a slide which shows an example of a service catalog, and then right after that we talk about service level agreements. So a service catalog would be a list of services that are available and the cost for each, and then the service level agreement would be the user looked at the catalog and said, yeah, I want that, I want that, I want that, I want two of those, I don't want any of those, that kind of thing. And then that's put together in the service level agreement, and that's what they're going to get. All right, so we use this term service desk. That's used in ITIL. How is that different than a help desk? Or how is that different um, than a call center? We're going to talk about those today. With all of those things, a service desk is going to be, and help desk would be also, first point of contact. That's the telephone number that people have when they want to talk to the IT support. So in the context that we're thinking about in this course, for the hardware diploma that you guys are doing, your service desk there is going to be the IT support within an organization. So you've spent a lot of time in the last couple of years learning how to run servers, how to connect them, that type of thing. And then I'm sure that it'd be obvious to you that if you were good at that job, you might spend some time talking to customers about, I mean, here's your network. This went wrong. How can we fix it? Because, and so you might find yourself at least having some interactions with the service desk. So as it says there, there can be many different types of service desk, and the money that we put towards them and the way that we develop the service desk does reflect the priorities of the business. And so I mentioned a few times now already this idea of call centers, help desks, and service desks being three different kind of uh, first points of contact in businesses that show kind of a little, uh, I guess you'd say, a hierarchy or a stratification of support levels, with call centers being sort of more basic support. I guess you'd say when we get to the service desks, we're offering a little bit more than what a call center would offer. All right, so we got some stuff there about call centers. Call centers could be categorized as inbound and outbound call center. Inbound call center is taking calls from customers, and they may be a lot of incidents or they may be service requests. Outbound call center is actually going to be contacting customers. That's typically going to be sort of the marketing people in your company. They may set up a call center to sort of get new business. And you could have a blended call center where you have a single call center that does both. So when the folks aren't too busy, they're making marketing calls. When they're a little bit more busy, they're just taking calls as they come and answering them. Um, so what's the idea of the call center? Yeah, it is about money, and it is about those things, the geographical distribution thing. What you can do is you can put your call center in a cheaper place. You can save a lot of money. You have all the people doing the same thing. Maybe you got a call center which offers that service to more than one business. So you have people in the call center so the load can be shared between different customers depending on what kind of demands they have. So some call centers that you may have interacted with, airline reservation centers, catalog ordering centers. I was thinking, well, that would be something like Amazon or something, right? Home shopping similar. Software publishers. Yeah, I mean, had, if you have issues with their software, you'll call a number and you'll end up talking to somebody in a call center. Um, So this I've already sort of mentioned, the idea of the call center. Often you'll find that the call center is sharing that among different companies, and that sort of just makes it more efficient. And there's some points there about efficiency. I mean, $32,000 a year. It's probably not something that most of you are aspiring to. You probably want a bit more money than that. You know what I mean? At some point. But in some places that's all right money. But the thing is, the point that I want to make there, I mean, call centers are used by companies like in Silicon Valley. Nobody in Silicon Valley is working for $32,000 a year, right? You know what I mean? Um, but so that's why they have the call center, and they're running out of a place where $32,000 a year is okay. All right. So we talked about call centers. Let's go up the hierarchy a bit, get something a little bit more going on. The help desk. So our help desk, that's going to be a single point of contact as well, but it's typically going to be, as it says there, not as broad a scope as a service desk, and it's just going to handle incidents, but it's kind of like a service desk. That is, people are going to call in. This is going to take inbound calls and solve those calls. Your service desk is going to be broader because it's going to, in as well as taking inbound calls, it's going to do um, sort of follow up, I suppose, and communicate um, the new technology with our customers, etc. The multi-level support model, level 1, 2, 3, escalation, right? If you start off at level 1, you may or may not go to level 2 or level 3, depending on where you solve the issue. If you can't solve the issue at level 1, then it goes to level 2. If you can't solve it there, it goes to level 3. As you go up in the levels, more resources are brought to bear. So at level 2, what you usually maybe you can have 2 or 3 people on the incident. Maybe you've got people that have very specific skills that are or that relate to that exact incident. Your systems engineers, so they would be in your level 2. Level 3, again, a higher level of resources. Sometimes we also refer to level 3 as talking to vendor support. So that's the concept of escalation. If we can solve the incident at level 1, then we do. If we can't, then we escalate it to level 2. If we can't there, then we escalate it to level 3. All right, and so in this example, it actually refers also to a level 0, which is you solve your own problem. Now, I think I might have mentioned in previous lesson, not sure if I had, but we sort of refer to that as peer-to-peer support. And it's not really something that we really like too much, because what happens with peer-to-peer support is it's very ad hoc, meaning that it's not planned. And so therefore it doesn't align with the company strategy, and you end up with all kinds of systems tweaks that are not documented, and therefore very hard to support later on. But yeah, level 1 is our first point of contact. It's going to be the service desk usually. Usually behind the service desk, we have some people that we could say are something like systems engineers. They're going to be your level 2. Yeah. And level 3, if level 2 can't do it, then level 3 will. Often that could be a vendor support. All right. So this next couple of slides here about mission, this is again some business language. I don't know if you've done any business classes, but this is the type of stuff that they talk about a lot, right? So they talk about all of that benchmarking that we mentioned. They talk about this mission statements, vision statements, that type of thing. What I want you to just get the idea of for the mission statement is what it is what is it that we as an organization, the entire organization, the mission statement must cover the entire organization. What is it that where are we going? What is it we want to achieve? What is it that makes us get out of bed in the morning hours? And what are we trying to achieve? And usually it's not just about making a profit. So you might say, oh, well, you're a listed company on a stock exchange. You have to make a profit. Yeah, that's part of your mission. But there's so why are you not why are you not selling houses, or why are you not building roads? They make a profit. So what is it that makes you in this industry? What does it make what are you trying to achieve? So that's the type of thing that usually somebody who thought of getting into the business has some affinity for something about that business, and that should be captured in the mission statement. So the mission statement is for the entire organization, but the help desk itself will have its own mission statement, which supports the mission statement of the organization. So here's an example of one for a service desk, right? Our mission is to provide a professional, customer-focused, single point of contact of IT advice and support and be recognized like excellent service provider by university staff. So the university has a mission, which is no doubt something to do with education, and it's probably even more broad and pontificating than that, about the new generation and STEM and whatever else, right? But the IT support, there's a little bit more focused, right? It's going to be excellent service provider to university staff, student visitors. We'll continually develop our service to meet and exceed customer expectations. We will contribute to contribute to the university in a timely, consistent, high quality, and professional support for every customer contact. So this is very common for a mission statement. So the idea is now everything that they will do as a planning. So this is part of the strategic planning, I guess you could say, for the service desk. Everything that they will do for planning out their service desk. We got 10 minutes left. We're about that. Will be focused on um, these things. Okay, and so we refer back to, if we're going to add something new, does it help with this? If it doesn't, well, maybe we shouldn't. Okay, or maybe there's some things that are mentioned here in our mission statement that we're not doing. So what do we need to add to our strategic planning so that we can do these? Okay, so this is basically just saying those things. The company's mission, you can think of it as a kind of like the overall goal that we wanted to achieve out there. And then we'll make our 5-year plan toward that. And then every arm of our business must support that in some way. And so the idea being that the service desk has a mission which supports that. Okay, so the categories here are internal and external service desk. Internal service desk, like the service desks that we have at the college for IT. We actually have 3 IT service desks. All right. Sorry, we have 3 service desks, not 3 IT service desks. So there's a HR service desk, there's a facilities service desk, and there's an IT service desk. So just to give you an idea, the facilities service desk, they make sure that the lights are working, that the buildings are clean, that the security is sort of up to date with what's going on. That's their thing. That's facilities. That the actual physical campus works. The IT service desk, they're supporting all of the computers and the networks and the software. And then the HR service desk, that's really for employees of the college to make sure that they have the support that they need to do what the college wants them to do. Okay, so those 3 are internal service desks, and so their customers are going to be the employees and the students at the college. Yeah, and there's enough about that. The external service desk, on the other hand, that would be like the people that you meet at Arito. And you could go to a desk and see them at a kiosk. I guess they could be considered part of that service desk, or you could talk to them on a phone, and or you could probably reach them through their app. And they can be broken down into 2 different types of things that they do. They do pre-sale support and after and post-sale support. Very business sort of words again, right? Pre-sale, that basically is, yeah, your sales guys are um, going to be getting things ready to show you what a good product so that you'll be enticed to purchase it. Whereas your post-sale support, that's all about sort of fixing things that are broken, adding things that were left out, that type of thing. All right, so I told you before the end of the lesson, we'd get to this idea of the service catalog. And so this is kind of like the second to last slide or third to last slide or whatever. And what we see is you might list down a bunch of services that you're offering to your internal customers or external customers. And we see that some of these things are offered in every package. Then you could build a package which has other services added at an extra cost. And it doesn't say what they are, but you could. So it says there cost per call. This is cost per call to the service desk. So we're saying we're going to offer you a service desk. Here's what we're going to give you. We're going to give you the standard service. Everybody gets that. And we're going to get entitlement verification. And we're going to get incident logging and incident diagnosis. These other things are optional and they come with an extra price. And so you can pick more of those, then you'll have a higher level of service, but you'll have a higher level of charge. And so we refer to those as service packages. You can customize your service package and have a service package which is just for you. And there's so in the service catalog, we've got some definitions here: service name, service description, category. I'm just going to leave that to you. I think that's pretty obvious what that's all about. I'm not going to read a lot of stuff off that. Lastly, I think this is kind of like the last slide there, right? The service level agreement, which also I think you referred to in CR1260. I hope you remember it. So in this, if you're following ITIL, you will be developing a service level agreement with your customers based on services in a thing that we call service packages. You'll develop service packages and then you'll come to a service level agreement. And in the service level agreement, all the service packages will be mentioned. All right. So you could use that catalog that we just mentioned there, right? And you could customize and make a bunch of packages. Say, I want this package and I want that package. And then those things would be referred to in the service level agreement with a charge beside them. All right. So the service level agreement is going to say who's responsible for what. All of these things would be mentioned. And actually, all of these things are in the catalog, right? Your service description, your service hours, those are things that you choose. And then from the catalog, you can put those into your service level agreement. Insourcing and outsourcing. I thought we were done, but I guess not. So outsourcing is, I hope that makes sense, right? So that's where another company is asked by your company to provide a service for you instead of you doing it with your own employees. So, they call centers outsourcing typically, but it's not just in call centers. A lot of IT is done that way. IT, you'll have project teams where we bring in programmers just for a project. Okay. And so that work is not being done by employees of that company. It's being done by other employees who are contractors. And they may not be employed by anybody, just receive a contract, or they may be part of a company which contracts them to you, in which case that's outsourcing. Insourcing means that you're bringing people into your organization, you're running them through your HR department. They're getting an ID with the company. They're part of your family, if you like, in the company. And so you have to decide. Uh, there's a lot of decisions to be done there. Now you have to whether to do outsourcing or whether to do insourcing. I have to say that a lot of outsourcing, there seems to be a bit of a trend towards outsourcing over like 30 years. And some of the benefits of outsourcing, all right, so you become a lot more flexible as an organization, because you can bring in very different people with very different skills and very different level numbers of them, and for a very short period of time, and then go down to a different number. So, and what we're finding is with the tools that people are using for software development now, a lot of software can be developed pretty quickly. So we don't need to have people hanging around for 3 or 4 years to develop a system. We can do it in a few weeks or months. And so, what are we going to do with these people afterwards? Well, if we're just doing the outsourcing, that's the outsourcer's problem, right? We pay them for 3 months and say thank you, see you later, and so they go on to do something else. And so, I mean, it is a sort of a efficiency sort of measure, I would say. All right, there's our chapter summary, and I don't know if I'm going to go through all of that. So I think that's about it. I think that's where I'm going to sort of stop. I'll stop recording now, I think.